All right, everyone, welcome back into another NBA props video. Gonna be touching on the top prop bets today on both PrizePicks and Underdog. Let's go ahead and get into it. So right away, guys, I want to mention this is an 11-game slate. So as it sits right now, we're not getting as many prop bets as I would like because, well, it's an 11-game slate. And because of that, there are going to be a lot of teams that are kind of banged up. There's injuries that are players are out, players are in. It's going to be tough for PrizePicks Underdog to really gauge the situation. So a lot of props are going to be coming out later in the day. And with that, typically I like to do a game-by-game breakdown. But again, with all the injuries and nuances that we have going on right now, that's going to be more difficult. Now, I do just kind of want to go through game by game, but I'm not going to break it down into detail as much as I typically would. So starting out in this first game, we're going to notice that the Clippers are going to be pretty much healthy there. We don't have to worry about them. But for Cleveland, they're going to be getting Donovan Mitchell and Evan Mobley back. Now, we don't know exactly what their minutes are going to be, but to me, that just feels like a stay away in general. Looking at the next game, we got the New York Knicks versus the Charlotte Hornets, which we actually are getting some maybe good lines there. So I do want to break that down because, as you guys can see, Julius Randle is out and Isaiah Hartenstein is out as well. Looking at Charlotte, they're still without Gordon Hayward. Kyle Lowry is going to be out as well. Mark Williams is going to be out. And so if LaMelo Ball were to sit as well, that's going to open up a lot of projected value. Now, we are only getting LaMelo Ball props for Charlotte, as that makes sense because, well, if he were to sit, we know that really drastically changes the lines that we would be getting for the rest of the Hornets. Now, that being said, we did see Ish Smith play a lot in the last game, but it was supposed to be Brandon Miller that had a, big bump in production with LaMelo Ball off the court, with Terry Rozier off the court for that matter as well, and Gordon Hayward off the court. And that was true. It didn't happen. Like, he went 0 for 7 from 3, had a terrible day shooting, but he also shot the ball 7 times while not making a single one from the 3-ball line. So that is very encouraging. Did not have as many rebounds or assists as he typically would. Just had himself a bad game. Now, going against New York, is that like a good thing? No. New York is a tough matchup, but it wouldn't surprise me if he has a good game. Looking at Miles Bridges, he is someone that played 41 minutes. He's been playing a heavy allotment of minutes. He is someone that we could be looking at to have a good game. He is someone that does get a bump in rebounds and assists per 36 with LaMelo Ball, Terry Rozier, Gordon Hayward off the court, as he might play a little bit of the 5 tonight as well. And he will get a better matchup with Randle and Hartenstein out. And then looking at it, guys, PJ Washington is someone that we saw last year in this exact same situation where Terry Rozier and LaMelo Ball were off the court. He was actually the player that got the biggest bump in usage. Now, it was a little bit different. Bridges wasn't there. Brandon Miller wasn't there. But given the fact that he had himself a good game, shot the ball 22 times, that was not shocking. So I do think we're going to get a decent chance to run out some stacks with Charlotte. I'm kind of hoping LaMelo Ball sits. If LaMelo Ball plays, does make it a little bit thin. So with the 3 bigs out for New York, well, I guess I should just say Randle and Mitchell Robinson, who is going to benefit the most with those players off the court? Well, we haven't seen Julius Randle not on the court for quite some time, but we do know that OG Anunoby, kind of butchered his last name, apologies there. But OG is someone that in a limited time with his team has looked good with his per 36 production. He averages 17.7 points per 36. So we're going to see that this number is actually a little bit too high. He averages 5.3 rebounds. So maybe a slight edge there, but he does average 2.8 assists. So maybe not someone we exactly want to be chasing, but we got to remember this is going to be a better matchup for New York. So that's why he's gained a slight points bump there for OG. And you can see the average sportsbook line kind of has his points prop set at 18.9. So maybe a small edge there. Looking at Dante DiVincenzo, the data really likes Dante DiVincenzo today. We don't have enough data to go into a sample size with Mitchell Robinson and with Julius Randle off the court, especially with OG there. But if he gets more minutes tonight, like he's projected to get, and he has been getting lately, I can agree with that. I think that is a slight edge that we are getting there with Dante DiVincenzo. But with Julius Randle off the court, Jalen Brunson has a 35% usage rate, averages 32.2 points, 5 rebounds, and 6.2 assists. So this line is seemingly correct, but then if you adjust it for the matchup, it's going to be tight, but he should be able to get the over. I don't know if we exactly want to be targeting that one, but I do think we have a game stacking opportunity here if LaMelo Ball is out, because we have those good Charlotte props, and then Dante DiVincenzo, the data really likes for his over, and then you also have Jalen Brunson that's probably going to be in a good spot as well. Then from there, we move on into the next game. The Pelicans are going to be good to go in that game. Boston could be without Porzingis and Al Horford, with Luke Cornett most likely sitting as well. Tough to say exactly what would happen. I am expecting one of those bigs to start, but we kind of know the script. If Porzingis and Al Horford out, Derek White gets a big bump. But I don't know going against Pelicans if I exactly want to target that. Looking at Phoenix, Yusuf Nurk sat out last night. I expect him to play. Ben Simmons is going to be back for Brooklyn. But Utah is pretty healthy, and they've been someone that we've been targeting a little bit lately, just given their good matchups that they've had. I don't know if we exactly need to go there today going against Brooklyn, but I'll show you guys some props that are popping up for them. Continuing on, Memphis is still banged up. We got to see what's going to happen with Luke Kennard and Derrick Rose. If those two players sit, I do think we'll be looking at John Concher in some capacity. You know, he has been someone that's been playing well, getting about 30 minutes with those two players off the court, been running the points a little bit. Zaire Williams is someone that on paper at the start of the season was someone that benefited, but lately, not shocking that he didn't have a good game because, well, it's actually been Vince Williams that's been pretty productive. Now, he had 20 points in last night's game, and he still didn't shoot the basketball too much, like 12 shot attempts in that game, but had 8 rebounds, only 1 assist. Like, his production, I don't want to say it's fluky, but it like on paper it's tough to predict, but I kind of agree he is someone that we would want to be looking at, maybe fantasy score wise, again, if those two players are out. And then continuing on, guys, like looking at this game against Orlando and Dallas, like if Markelle Fultz and Gary Harris are out, we know what to do. We're looking at Jalen Suggs to have a good game. We're looking at Cole Anthony to have a good game because they get a massive minutes bump. You give those two like 10 plus minutes in a pretty decent matchup going against Dallas. Like, that is something that would certainly intrigue me. Looking at Dallas, Kyrie Irving is going to be out again. So got to figure out what to do with Luka and really everyone else. Like if Exum is out, if Derek Jones is out, Jaquan Hardy's going to get a lot of run. Giannis is going to be active for the Bucks. Then looking at Philly. So Philly, we don't exactly know what to do with just yet. Embiid could sit, Harris could sit, Maxey could sit. Melton is already out, so it's tough to gauge what to do. And right now, looking at the best props that we were getting across the board for PrizePicks, and guys, sorry about the date. I realized I had that wrong for most of the video. I'm not going to go back and re-record because of that slight error. That's on me. That's something I typically update on at the start of each video. I just forgot. But looking at right now, the best prop bet that we're getting is going to be Tyler Hero for over fantasy score. And why is that kind of significant? Right now, we're only getting, oh, wow, this actually just updated. But still, we're only getting like 2 games worth of props in there right now out of an 11 game slate. And so it is kind of funny that he is the one that's popping up prop bet wise. He has been very hit or miss. I don't know if I exactly love that, but the data does. But that's the point I want to call out. It's that typically speaking, the fantasy score props are going to be the ones that are the best edges and the edges that are going to be there throughout the day. So yeah, Tyler over fantasy score, if you want to run that out, you can. But after that, the board does get pretty thin. Let's go and take a peek at underdog, seeing if we're getting any edges there at all. And I mean, kind of like we're going to ignore these ones like blocks, turnovers, that stuff I really don't care about. Same thing with like these, like they have to bump them up to the point where it's just, I don't like those ones. We're not touching those. But once we start to get to like DeAndre Ayton, we can see assist wise, Data doesn't think he's going to get over 2 assists. That's a decent one. Also rebounds. Data doesn't like him to get over 10.5 rebounds. So we are getting some EV bets here. We could run out Tyler Hero for over rebounds and assists. Anthony Simons for under 3.5 threes made. Like we are getting some decent edges on underdog. Right now, as it sits, it seems like a slightly better day for underdog. Now, I do want to call a couple of college basketball props that we're getting. Really, we're getting one that has a slight edge. After that, it does feel pretty thin. We got Dylan for under fantasy score. The projection data really doesn't like him as it sits right now, but you can see the average sportsbook line is basically set at 26, heavily favoring the under there. So at 28.5, that seems to be a decent edge. And then just showing you guys it from an underdog perspective, maybe some slightly bigger edges. Like we can see here, this is a 2-line difference there. Both seem to be a little bit higher, a little bit more aggressive than what Vegas thinks is going to happen here, but maybe you guys want to run out a middling opportunity. This is the nice thing about college basketball. This is why we had a good Saturday, because while there's a lot of middling opportunities that on other sports and really other prop bets, there shouldn't be that big of a prop line difference between the two when the calculation for fantasy score is exactly the same. And that's the edge there. Now the day is telling us to bet the under, so I think that's a better bet on underdog where the under is being favored. And then just real quickly showing you guys the EV only bets on PrizePicks. Yeah, we can see we're not getting any big edges there right now, which is a little bit unfortunate. And then real quickly, I did just hit a refresh for NBA just to see if we are getting any good prop bets for the fantasy score lines that were just popping up. We are going to see Lauri Markkanen is going to be a good one there. And honestly, like I do like a lot of Utah. I didn't really mention this. Let's touch on that because I do think, given the data that we have right now, could be a decent stacking opportunity in that game. So Utah has been playing better. Colin Sexton has been a stud, very tilting in that game against Washington, which for whatever reason, the coach decided not to give him 17 or not to give him more minutes. He only had 17 minutes in that game. Everyone was playing well, but including him, he should have got more minutes. So that is a slight concern that maybe his minutes aren't locked in. That being said, they have been playing pretty well. Against Charlotte, that was such an easy stacking opportunity in that game. Now against Brooklyn, not as easy. There is the potential for them to get blown out. If they don't get blown out, though, Colin Sexton is going to go off. I firmly believe that as long as he gets those minutes. John Collins is someone I want to mention as well. He is someone that should be able to have a good game. He's been getting 30 plus minutes lately as well, assuming that the game stays close and assuming he doesn't get into foul trouble. And then for that matter, we got Lauri Markkanen, who's been playing extremely well. He also has seen his minutes kind of tick up recently as well, getting 36 plus minutes and has been playing extremely well. If they are going to be playing to win, those three players are going to have good game. And so for me, this line that we're getting for Colin Sexton seems to be a little bit too low here. Looking at the line that we're getting for John Collins also seems to be a little bit too low if we're betting on them to get 30 minutes. Now, I do want to go ahead and get into the bet of the day for both sites. As it sits right now, I think we got some decent edges, but only 2 slip bets for each site. So again, kind of waiting for more of the fantasy score props to be made available before I really go crazy today with my bets. And so starting off with underdog, I'm going to be running out the one prop bet that's really popping up college basketball wise for the under. I don't mind that. And then we got Sean as well, where we saw PrizePicks has it set at 26.5. That's a slight edge. This one only has about a 54% or 53.4% likelihood to hit this one right here. But given the fact that there is a clear line discrepancy between PrizePicks and underdog, I'm fine betting on PrizePicks being more correct than underdog, which is why I'm betting the under here. And then this is just one of the better data bets that we have currently. And then looking at PrizePicks as it sits right now, these are the 2 that I'm comfortable running out. And again, I'm probably going to wait until we get more fantasy score prop bets. It's an 11 game slate. We're going to have some decent edges there. But these are the 2 best that the data says right now. Again, I like the idea of stacking Utah together. Like if we're running out Markkanen for over his fantasy score, we probably do want to run out Sexton and or John Collins attached to that. You could run out a 4 slip bet. And then just real quickly, again, if you guys want to use that underdog slip and you guys haven't signed up before, just use the promo code 905 when you guys sign up. That's going to kick back some money to the channel. Just an easy way to support the channel. That's going to be all for today's video. Thank you guys for watching. If you guys want access to the 905sports.com PrizePicks and Underdog cheat sheet available for just $10 a month. Also want to call it Underdog PGA Best Ball Drafts. That is also a tool that is available. It's a little cheat sheet for you guys. That has about 10 more days left. Thanks for watching. Let's have a good slate. And as always, let's keep cashing.